And today we have Dr. India Ford from T Squared Academy. Yes, we are talking to a sister about another school, but it's going to be a different type of interview. So I really do hope you guys tune in, stay tuned in, because she is going to share so much information that can help you guys. We all are aware in current days that when we educate our own children, we get to control the narrative. And we know it is so important to control the narrative, because if we keep sending our children into some of these schools, particularly public schools, they are not coming out ready to compete in a society.
Right.
They are coming out as little robots just to go get a job, not elevate their mind, not elevate their thinking, not elevate their skills and their possibilities to get out of their conditions, but just to be employees.
Right.
But not with Dr. Ford.
Well, what I want the audience to know about my school is that we are a social reform school. The name of the entire school name is T Squared Honors Academy. T Squared standing for Talented Tenth. W.E.B. Du Bois coined the term Talented Tenth based off of a number of other intellectuals. But the whole premise was that African Americans, 10% of the African American population is going to lead in social reform. So what we practice here is to prepare our students to become the doctors, the lawyers, the politicians that actually can change policy so that things can change for African Americans as a whole in the entire society. At this time, we don't have many African American people in those positions, which is the reason why we don't have a lot of voice. We need more voice and more people to stand up for the African American race. So that is what our whole school program is about.
The process for you to become chartered, and why do you think they accepted your application for your school being chartered?
The process, very extensive. I actually was developing this program 5 years before I even submitted the program to the Ohio Department of Education. So it was a long process. I was also an educator for 15 years. So in being an educator for 15 years and seeing the processes that were in the public schools, I noticed that there was a need for certain things. So within my whole application process, I pushed those needs, primarily parent involvement, a lot of push for African-American curriculum being direct instruction and also project-based. So with our students, African-American students just learn differently. Project-based instruction helps them learn much better because it's more applicable to their lives.
How do African-American students learn?
From my experience of teaching in 15 years, I was more of a project-based, thematic-based teacher. Mr. Green and I actually are the ones who take the time to work with our students. So when they come in and they're broken and they are basically feeling a certain type of way, and we already can see it on their faces that, okay, this is not going to be a good day, we pull them in. And we're like, because honestly, you're not going to be able to learn anything if you're in the classroom thinking about something that occurred at home or a situation that's happening in your life that is not resolved yet. So what we do is we pay attention to our students, which is why we do have a small school. I will always have a small school because I want to be able to touch my students. So we pull those students in and we're the social worker. We try our best to talk them through it and give them like coping strategies. How do you deal with that? And we take the time to do that with our students. It takes a lot of time sometimes. Sometimes I'm in the office 3 or 4 hours with one student. But that's the reason why I end up coming in at 1 o'clock in the morning so that I can get work done without my kids there. Because once my students come, it's done. I'm not getting pretty much any work done because I'm pulling kids, talking to kids. Kids are being sent to my office because they need to talk to me, whatever the situation may be. They tell me, but let me say this, because I have an open door policy. I have an open door policy. So my staff is able to come in and talk to me at any time. My parents, they will call me up. I'm the principal / superintendent of the school. They'll call me up and they'll tell me their concerns and everything freely. I don't discriminate. I am very open to whatever they have to talk about because they are important. I treat my parents as my clients. They are people who are very valuable to my institution. They're valuable to their child's education. So I do.
They're not clients. They're constituents.
Constituents. Okay, I'll start using that.
Yeah, baby.
All right, so that's exactly what I do. I do treat my parents very well.
Yeah. So there is a process, and I don't want people to think that everybody in your school is African American, because it's a charter school, and that's just not the case. Correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, at this time, we are pretty much 98% African American, but that's because we are in an urban setting. For Ohio, charter schools can only be in those school districts that are struggling. And so, of course, you didn't know that, okay?
No.
Oh yeah, it's special in Ohio. In Ohio, they can only be in districts that are struggling districts. So most of the struggling districts are African American. So the charter schools are in African American cities. So like your Warrensville Heights, which is the district that I'm in, they have about 4 charter schools just in this one city, but it's really small. They only have 1 high school, they have 1 middle school, and then they have 4 elementary schools, or 3 elementary schools. How can 4 charter schools be in this one location? Yes, in this one city. But they
Tell you.
But that's how they do it in Ohio, that it's only for cities that are struggling. Now, the sad part about it is, if you have, just like you said earlier, if you have so many charter schools that are closing because they're not performing, you're almost setting charter schools up for failure, because they're in these urban schools where they're actually reading 3 to 4 grade levels behind, as I stated before, 2 to 3 grade levels behind. And so they're going to these charter schools, which they're trying to get them caught up, but they only give you a certain amount of time to get them caught up. If they're not caught up by this time, then the charter school is closing.